Good morning everybody, this is day 3 of the Ford Kuga PHEV test, and today is the day that I actually need to return this car to the Ford Netherlands, which very kindly landed to me, so that's awesome of course. I've experienced the car a couple of days now, so it's time for some pros and cons about this car. Of course, personal experience, so don't take it personal as well, but you know, it's always useful to share experiences. So let's start with the cons and then we'll go to the pros. So the first con, so to say, is that I had a bit of a fiddle and hassle to turn off the pilot assist and the cruise control and the adaptive cruise control on the steering wheel the first couple of days. Takes some getting used to, and from my Volvo I'm kind of used that there is a nice button in the middle of the left part over here in the steering wheel where you can turn it off immediately. For example, when a car comes in front of you on the highway and you already notice it but the system isn't, then I like a button to kind of switch it off for just a couple of seconds, do my own thing, let the car roll, and then put it back on again. However, there's not really a turn on or off specific button over here. There's a restart button but not a turn off button, so I kind of needed to get used to the buttons on the steering wheel. It's not really a big con, but it takes some getting used to, so bear that in mind. So the second one is also pretty personal, and that is that I am pretty tall, and that's not really a con, but it kind of connects to it because my sitting position in the car is quite far back. Of course, I have long legs, so I need the space, but the interior mirror here in the cabin, I can't really adjust it to my seating position over here, so it's all the time it's or too high actually, so there isn't really a specific nice position for tall people perhaps. But yeah, this is a very personal one of course, but I had to mention it. So third is that the turning circle of the car is pretty big. Here in the Netherlands we sometimes have quite tight parking spots. Also here behind my house, my private spot is also quite tight, so I had to maneuver a couple of times to get this car properly in. This car is also fitted with the cameras and all that, so it wasn't really a big struggle. But yeah, kind of keep it in mind that the turning circle of the car is quite big. So the fourth one is about the gearbox or the gearbox control of this car. It's not really a lever or anything on the steering wheel. It's up here in the middle console and it's a bit of a toggle or a big button. This one also takes some getting used to. I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of structure. I had a couple of times going from drive to reverse that I toggled one too far and then that the car suddenly would pull into park and you're like, whoa, what happened? And then, oh, whoops, I messed up. Back to reverse. So it's not really the most fluent system yet. So the next con about this car is that this is the ST line with the bit sportier suspension setup. This is an SUV, so it's quite heavy already. This is the plug-in hybrid, the PHEV. It's even more heavier. There's a big battery in the floor of this car, which means that adds a couple of hundreds of kilograms to it as well. So on bumps and on speed hills you kind of notice that the suspension has to work really hard to give you some nice comfort still. Overall, the smoothness is very good. It's a good suspension, but just keep in mind if you really need that good level of comfort, perhaps first take the ST line for test drive to experience for yourself and then judge afterwards. So that's plenty of negativity, so to say, about this car. Overall, this car is very impressive. So let's go to the things I really like about the Ford Kuga PHEV, and that is the steering feel of this car. Ford is quite well known for having nice steering feedback on its cars, and also with this Ford Kuga, the steering feel is very responsive. You really feel connected to the road. I really enjoyed steering in this car, despite being an SUV and quite a heavy one. Also with the ST line, feedback is very good. I was very impressed with the steering of this car. Besides, this is the ST line, so you get a very nice ST steering wheel, nice leather, red stitching, a flat bottom of the steering wheel as well. It just feels really nice to have in your hand, so that's a very awesome one by Ford. So the second one I mentioned already a couple of times, and that is the electric range of this PHEV. It's very impressive, and that's all I'm gonna say. Link to the video where we actually test the electric range of this car is now in the screen somewhere. Just so to say, it got very late. I was very surprised by the electric range. So next one is that the seats of this car are very impressive. Nice big American seats, so to say. Ford, of course, and even for me being quite tall, I have a very nice sitting position in this car. Nice big bolsters here on the side, so it's very comfortable. Also ST line, nice red stitching, Alcantara leather, looks very good. One small thing to say, for tall people I would have liked a seat extender for the legs. Small thing, overall these seats are very good and I recommend them. Next up is the smoothness of this car. Being a PHEV, of course, there's an electric drivetrain together with the petrol engine, and it's just a very good combination. The car drives away very smooth, comes to a standstill very smooth. It's very impressive. So besides a nice drivetrain and interior and all that, there are also a couple of very impressive systems on this car, and then especially the safety systems. This car is fitted with the complete package, I believe. So we have the adaptive cruise control, pilot assist, cruise control, blind spot monitoring, etc. It all works overall very good, especially the pilot assist. It's not nervous, it stays in its lane very smooth between the lines, no efforts, no weird steering feedback or anything. The car is just very calm in its lane. Adaptive cruise control is doing its job. Overall, it's a very impressive system. It works very well. So if you kind of are looking into those safety systems, make sure you check it out on the Ford as well. It's just very good. Also with adaptive cruise control, when a car moves over to another lane, the car picks up very fluent and fast. There's not really a gap that comes, which I sometimes have in my Volvo. No, the Ford just picks up very good as well over there. So overall, the safety systems of this car are very good. So the last one is a typical Ford one, and that's actually with the doors. When you open the door, there's a small rubber thingy that pops out of the door so that you do not damage your car or your door. Very stupid, but I like it a lot. It's a bit of a gimmick, but very impressive by Ford that they even think of it. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That was the 3-day test with the Ford Kuga PHEV. Overall, I had a good time with this car. It's an impressive car. I think, so to say, in the American way, this is a lot of bang for the buck, or for your buck. And yeah, I recommend this car if you are looking for a plug-in hybrid PHEV car, SUV with plenty of space, good systems, nice comfort. You know, this car is just overall very good. Is it impressive at one specific thing? No, I don't think so. But you know, overall just a very good car to have.